While we wait for just another 1 minute or so, can I just remind those of you who were not here, if you have recorders that you want to bring up, please bring them up now and then set them up.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Good afternoon, colleagues, members of the media. Good afternoon, colleagues from the African Union. Thank you for coming to our press conference this afternoon. Today will be addressed by Her Excellency, Commissioner Minata Samate Cessouma. She is the Commissioner of Political Affairs here at the African Union Commission. And she will address us on the topic of conflict prevention as a strategy towards durable solutions for forced displacement in Africa. We'll conduct our press conference much as we normally do. She will start by giving us some brief remarks, and then we'll go into a brief question and answer session. Commissioner, you may start.
Thank you very much. Oh,
Yes.
and it's not good to be late. In my culture, is unacceptable. But I want you to forgive me and also to thank you, ladies and gentlemen from press, because what African Union is doing, if you are not accompanying us, it can be difficult. Thank you very much, sister, and thank you to all media in this room afternoon. As you said, I would like to talk about conflict prevention as a strategy towards durable solutions to forced displacement in Africa. Before that one, I want to recall that the head of state and government of the African Union in 2018 in Nouakchott declared the year 2019 as the year of refugees, returnees, and internally displaced persons in Africa towards durable solution to forced displacement in Africa. And this was occasion in Nouakchott for head of state to focus on, to ask all member states to focus on this theme to see how we can find a solution. And the launching of the team will be tomorrow. PRC already considered this team, and yesterday at the Executive Council, we talk about the issue, how to find solution to tackle the situation of refugees in Africa. And it is very important because you can ask me why we have a lot of refugees, how we can prevent that one. In Africa, we have, as you all know, conflicts. It's a very difficult situation. If we can find solution to conflict, it will be good also to tackle this issue of conflict. And we have our Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. But before that one, we should work how to prevent conflict and to drive, to have a Africa driven by its citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. We should recognize that a number of factors continue to drive forced displacement in our continent. This underdevelopment, inequality, poverty, including disparity between women and men, and we have a phenomena became serious problem is sexual and gender-based violence, intolerance, and mismanagement of diversity, civil strife and violent conflict. We have also human rights violation, persecution, and lack of governance, deficit governance, and sometimes also it goes with impunity. And we have something also is not new, natural disaster and calamities, and effect of drought and climate change. A very important phenomenon now is terrorism and violent extremism, mismanagement of our resources, natural resources, and last year we talked about corruption. All these things culminating in governance deficit leading to instability and ultimately conflict. Evidence suggests that violence conflict play a major role in propelling forced displacement in Africa. Unlike during the Cold War period, when most of these conflicts were interstate, presently many of these conflicts are intra-state. These conflicts have generated enormous amount of refugees, asylum seekers, and internally displaced persons. It is worth noting that Africa is today home to more than 1/3 of the global population of forced displacement, including 6.3 million refugees and asylum seekers and 14.5 million internally displaced persons, IDPs. It is therefore important to focus our eyes on how to prevent this conflict as part of our strategy toward durable solution to forced displacement in Africa. Dear friend from media, the African Union has invested more in conflict prevention. If we are to reverse the worrying trend of forced displacement on the continent, excuse me, thank you. I can talk now. But it is not also a good sign, because if you have this, that means you are getting old. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the African Union has invested more in conflict prevention. If we are to reverse the worrying trend of forced displacement on our continent, in this regard, I want us to discuss about 5 strategies which we think are more important to consider going forward. Firstly, the African Union working together with its member state, regional economic communities, and international humanitarian and development partners needs to visit much more in early warning. When signs of conflict are detected, we need to intervene and prevent as escalation of an emerging conflict. Secondly, part of preventive diplomacy has include mediation and negotiation so that conflicts are managed constructively and resolved timely through dialogue, and we insist on dialogue. Thirdly, African Union member states have to be encouraged to sign, ratify, and domesticate and implement all the key legal and policy instruments on humanitarian assistance, including the 1963 OAU Refugees Convention and the 2009 AU Convention on IDPs. Fourthly, African Union member states have to make concerted effort to implement the Master Roadmap on practical steps towards silencing the guns and ending all wars on the continent by the year 2020. Finally, the African Union Commission, working with member states and regional economic communities, had to expedite the operationalization of the African Humanitarian Agency. It is this agency that will facilitate strategic African leadership in its humanitarian action, ensuring African solution for African problem. We at the African Union Commission are therefore hopefully that member states will prevent forced displacement through better understanding of the drivers of displacement and develop plans and policies that implement early and broad-based political action and strategic response that deal with the multifaceted and context-specific root cause for displacement in Africa. These are some views we want to share with you, and we are ready to reply to your question. And thank you very much for coming, and thank you for being with us this afternoon. Merci beaucoup, Madame.
Merci, Excellence. Okay, colleagues, it's over to you. It's our question and answer time. You will indicate your interest to ask a question by raising your hand. Once you've been called upon to do so, please tell us your name, the organization that you're representing, and your question. I would like to ask you and to emphasize that please can we restrict ourselves to 1 question per person for now, because I see a number of hands going up. If we have enough time, then we'll come round for the second round. So far, I see only men putting up their hands. I hope we'll have more questions later. All right, let me sweep from this side. Yeah. There's a gentleman at the back, and then this gentleman.
Hello, my name is Duke. I report for CTFM and TV in Ghana. My question is with regard to the conflict prevention strategy. Is the unit, the political affairs unit or department, developing or thinking about developing a strategy that looks at early warning signals in these countries? Because, for instance, in our country, Ghana, currently there's a discussion going on about political violence and political parties having both paramilitary groups that could clash during elections. This is something that if there was an early warning signal system across the continent, something that could be done even before it escalates. So I want to know the strategy, the Commission, with regard to early warning signals across the continent. Thank you.
Okay. Let's take. Give him.
I'm Malcolm Webb from Al Jazeera. As you said, there are more displaced people than ever before in this continent at the moment because of repression, because of political crises, because of conflict. Surely the African Union is going to have to get a lot more effective and a lot bolder than it has been in the past at intervening in these situations for any of this talk about helping refugees to have any meaning at all to the millions of people who are stuck in camps across this continent.
What is the question?
What's the question? Is a comment?
Well, the question is the AU not going to, I mean, to deliver any of the things that you're talking about, is it not going to have to get a lot bolder than it has been in the past at intervening to prevent these things? Because it doesn't have a very effective record on preventing conflict or these political crises that are causing so many millions of people to flee.
If I understand well, is you are talking about intervention of AU to prevent conflict and to avoid displacement, forced displacement.
Yeah, but in a much bolder way than it has in the past. I mean, is that part of your plan? Is that something that that we can expect to see happening? Because I mean, surely to deliver any of these things that you're talking about, that's what's going to be necessary.
Okay.
Maybe we should take those.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I will start by the question of our friend from Ghana about early warning system. We have this early warning system at Peace and Security, working with all departments. And if I want to focus about elections, prevention, how we can prevent conflict, to be sure that we will have free, fair, democratic, peaceful election, we are doing so now. As Department of Political Affairs, when we have notification of the date of election, we will have 2 or 3 steps. First of all is to send an assessment team in the ground and to see with all stakeholders how African Union can help. We have an electoral commission and many actors intervening in the elections, and we will talk to them to know the need of this of the country first. Then after we can train, we are doing so now to train people to be sure what will be the role of this person in the process, electoral process. Then after that, we can have high-level delegation led by Faki himself or myself and my colleague. We will have a high-level delegation and meet all these people to be sure that we will have peaceful campaign, free, fair election, peaceful elections. And after that one, after evaluation, after assessment, we will send long-term team in the ground to see with all of them to be sure that they are working to be sure that we will have peaceful. It is very important because now, as I said, our conflicts are not between many countries, it's internal conflict. And now we are seeing elections became a major problem. And we will have a long-term mission, short-term mission deployed in the country, and also a head of mission. We are doing so. We did we used to do so, and the last one was in DRC. We are going to do the same in Nigeria, Senegal. We have 19 elections in the year 2019, yes. And we are working hard to prevent conflict coming from elections. And I think it's little bit reply. I don't agree if you said it's not, we are doing, African Union is doing, the major problem we have, how we can force member states. They will come with, we are sovereignty.
Right, yes.
Yeah, we are sovereign, and you cannot intervene, and we don't have guns saying that we are going to oblige you to apply and to go to accept what we need, not what we need, what is good for your country, for citizens, for Africans. That's the main problem. But African Union, we are doing prevention. It's not only elections, human rights also. When we are information, we have observation team in the ground looking, are you violating human rights of your people? And we will talk to you, said what you are doing is not good, you should change the situation. Then after that one, what can be done? If you have you violate human rights, you should repair, you should, there will be justice. And sometimes it's difficult, that justice. We have now, we work, this summit, assembly will consider a document about transitional justice, how if we cannot have justice, this transitional justice can help to find a solution. And we are doing, it's not well known, but about election, human rights, and civil service also, and many areas African Union is working, but sometimes it's not well known. The challenge I see is you cannot oblige them. You cannot oblige member states to say, you should. We are doing, we will intervene and say, myself, sometimes I will speak with them and say, look, you should find a solution to this kind of problem about human rights, about, when we see if election or human rights or another issue can become a big problem, we address to you and to see how we can tackle the issue and help you. That will avoid also forced displacement in Africa.
We move to this side. He had a hand up, and the gentleman at the back. We have three on this side. We start with you.
We have one.
We start with him. Yes.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency.
Bonsoir.
I'm Aidoge Paulinus. I'm a journalist with the Sun newspapers from Nigeria.
Okay.
No, our elections are coming up on the 16th. I want to know what the AU is doing about the elections, and if you're going to send observer mission to Nigeria.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure, we are going. Okay.
Okay, sorry. Elias Selassie from Shinwa Presidency, Chinese State Media. With regard to refugees in the IDPs, one thing that many of them want is if they want to return to home areas, guarantee and funds for rehabilitating them back to their home areas. Does the EU have plans with international, regional bodies, and even individual countries where the refugee and IDP situation is severe to help rehabilitate IDPs and refugees back to their home areas?
My name is Addis Getachew, another agency. Commissioner, it seems to me that we as Africans are either are not on the right track or we are far behind meeting the target to silence against by 2020. I am just wondering what would be the diagnosis that would be applied to declare us war-free or conflict-free. Thank you.
Okay, let me. Yes, I want to ensure you that African Union will send observation mission. President Faki visited Nigeria, and part of the discussion was about election. It was to see with Nigeria, part of agenda discussed with Nigerian authorities was also elections. And we are going to send observation mission, and which will be led by former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, His Excellency Haile Mariam Desalegn, is the person who is going to lead our mission there. I will be with him, and we will have team and discuss. And I see that others observation mission are there and or going to be there. We will accompany Nigeria. Nigeria is a very important country for all Africa. Importance in terms of population, importance in terms of economy, importance in West Africa. In West Africa, we have our the headquarters of ECOWAS. We need peaceful, not for Nigeria and for all Africa. We don't need any conflict coming from elections. And with all partners, we will work together to be sure that we will have free, fair, democratic, and peaceful election in Nigeria. It's not, as I'm saying, not only for Nigerian, but for all Africa. And coming back to returnees, yes, we are working with our partners like IOM to, when conflict, we find solution to conflict. Sometimes you are right, people will come back, they don't have the land, they don't have a house. And that's why we will think about what can be done for these people. And we are going to organize a conference for on refugees, IDPs, how we can have more funds to help to solve the problem, to tackle the root causes of refugees, and also how we can help. And sometimes with small projects for these people, especially for women and girls, to have a small project to be sure that they can have a little bit autonomy and to settle and to be part of the development of the country. Sometimes it's not easy, but when there is mediation and discussion to have peace, we have an agreement. All these things are part of agreement, how we can find solution. All conflict we have, if we solve, there is some areas include how these IDPs, refugees can come back, how we can help them to have opportunity to avoid conflict also. Silencing the gun, yes, 2020 is just tomorrow. And it is difficult in Africa to say that in 2020 we won't have any more conflict, but it's part of what we are doing. We are working hard to find a solution, and if we cannot silence all the guns, this is our wish, but to reduce, and we are working on that one. And you can, 2 days ago, CAR, Central Africa Republic, they signed agreement that this was part of also silencing the gun. Is not only that one. As I'm saying, we are working hard on prevention. It's not only political issues, and also we are talking about climate displacement today, and also terrorism. But as African Union or Commission, we cannot find solution alone to the problem of terrorism. You see now in Sahel, in the lake, basin of Lake Chad, there is problem. The East Africa, Somalia, and some countries. Last time we have attack in Kenya. I saw in Mali, Niger, in Burkina, daily basis we have problem. But only African Union cannot solve the problem. We need the support also of our partner to silence guns in Africa.
All right.
We'll
go for the second round. I'm happy to see that. So she'll have the first go at this one. Okay. And then perhaps we'll flip over to this side and take this gentleman. And then I've seen another hand over at the back. So perhaps those will be our last 3 questions for this press conference.
Thank you for the honor, Your Excellency. Still on silencing the guns, 2020. It seems when we look at the overall picture of silencing the guns in Africa and the part African Union is taking in silencing the guns, sort of it feels like African Union is not at all powerful to do it. When you say that countries and presidents are saying we're sovereign states, we do have our own mind and you can't meddle, but still we keep having this as a strategy. It looks like it's a failing strategy already, since you have no goodwill from the countries, member countries that still are in African Union. So it seems like it's a powerless strategy, or it's a powerless move that you're trying to push.
All right. Maybe for logistics, give him and then come this way.
My name is Joseph Akample. I work with Joy FM. My question has to do with what my brother asked. I want to find out what your views are on political parties having security wings. Now, these security wings are often made of party members. They are armed. They go over to polling stations during elections. And when things are not going in favor of their political party, or when they feel that someone is doing something that is affecting the process, they try to enforce the law instead of allowing independent state agencies to ensure law and order at the various polling stations. This is a challenge that we are facing in our country, having the two leading political parties each having such security wings, armed and mostly there are clashes during elections. Yes, I experienced a recent by-election.
Where are you from?
Ghana.
Ah, you don't have election next year?
We have elections in 2020. Next year.
Okay.
We'll have the last question from this gentleman.
Thank you, Excellency. Ahmed Bugri, Diaspora. In your intervention, you have acknowledged that the African Union is always faced by member states saying that we are sovereign, and yet they belong to a community of states. Most of these conflicts usually also have a tribal or local roots that attaches themselves also to a political party. In your strategy, are you looking at also an education element or capacity building of governments and training? Because if you don't reach the grassroots, then you are just going to repeat the same cycle.
I fully agree with you. I will start by you. I fully agree. We have training. We have training for political parties. We have training for electoral organs. And every year we meet with all 55 countries electoral organs leader. Last was in Abidjan. It was it was in November. November we were in Abidjan to teach them how they can work, how they can have organized peaceful election. We are doing that every year, and we are going to do so. We continue for education, for training. And I don't agree when you say that African Union is powerless. No. I want you to know something. You see now, you cannot have coup d'etat in Africa. It will be difficult. If you have, because of power of African Union, we said, stop, enough is enough. We don't want coup d'etat. I won't mention any country, but you know what I'm talking about. If you try to have coup d'etat today, it will be difficult. You will face African Union, then after followed by all our partners. I can see now for some issues they will ask you, African Union political affairs, what are you going to do? We will follow you. And they are doing so. And this is a power in our end now. You cannot say that I'm sovereign and you will kill your people and we will just keep quiet. No, no. It is difficult. But you will say that your sovereignty, and we will say no. But sometimes, as I said, we cannot have a gun to go and say, but we can have. Sometimes communique is very important, and saying, because if, as I said, if we said now we don't agree or we are going to sanction you, others will. I can tell you when we are discussing with people, they are afraid. And if we are in the field of prevention, sometimes our partners are asking us, what will be your decision? If we know your decision, we will follow you. But sometimes, yes, sovereignty, yes, is in our rules. But we said also, if in Constitution Act, we have also some elements saying that you cannot argue your sovereignty and doing things not good for your citizen. And I can tell you, President Faki himself and as political affairs department, we are trying to help member states to handle all situations. I used to tell some of them, there is no, we said in French, sujet tabou. There is no taboo. We will talk about everything. If you are not doing well, I'm sorry, we will tell you are not doing well. But the problem, we cannot go and say, okay, move, leave the power. And that a big problem is not only African countries, is also all the world. Is part. If you see Charter of UN, you will find this kind of article, and also our economic region. How do you call Rex? Document, you will find that one. But we said there are some situations, if you have violation of human rights, African Union can intervene. The problem, if you want to intervene for peacekeeping, support the peace process, sometimes it takes a long time to mobilize. That also a problem, to mobilize fund, to have these forces to intervene. And now sometimes it's difficult, as it is internal matters, is not between, you cannot come like before, intervene and say the border between the two countries is internally, it's became little bit difficult, but we are working on that one. Political parties, yes, we have a plan to see how we can also train political parties. And also the inclusion of women. Maybe if you have more women, we will avoid crisis in politics. Yes, because, you know, for women, when there is a conflict, the majority suffering from these countries, well, this situation conflict, are women, because all men will go fighting, or they can run away quickly. And problem remain with women. And we are working also to have more women, and Peace and Security Department, they have women mediators. And we are trying to, for example, for an election, to have half men, half women to observe election, to talk, to be sure that we will have peaceful election and handle all issues. Is sometimes when I'm in the field, it's easy for me to link to how do you say that one, to talk with people, and sometimes they listen more to me than men, because we have a manner to handle the issue, and to be sure that at the end we will have free, fair and democratic election. Ghana can be sure we will be with Ghana, but Ghana is people are when I listen to some people from Ghana, Ghana is an example. You have democracy in the country. There is democratical change of between two presidents. In many countries we don't have that, but in all our country you cannot say risk zero. It doesn't exist, including European countries. What happened in some big countries, if it was in Africa, we will fight, because just few voice between the two candidates, but finally, I won't mention a country, but you know what I'm talking about. And to tell you, there is no zero risk concerning election, but Ghana can count on us to be with Ghana in 2020. In 2020 also, we will have about 20 elections. Like this year, we have 19, but African Union is working to help all parties, include we are talking with political parties. But the important role is also from political parties to say no violence. That's why I'm insisting on dialogue, to have dialogue. If we are talking, we can find a solution. But if we say we cannot discuss because we don't have the same view, including our family, if you don't have the same view with your brother and sister, you won't fight. You don't have choice, you can sit and talk. That's the problem in Africa, but we are working to help all African countries and to train also. We will have training about humanitarian situation, how we can prevent, how we can tackle the root causes of refugees, and if we don't find solution to conflict and many things, it will be difficult. But it's not only African Union or members, you press also can help. Sometimes in some countries, what press is saying, it can be used and fight between sometimes political parties, and press is playing a very important role, and we count on you to accompany African Union and member states to have to prevent conflict in Africa, to have the Africa we want. Peaceful, comme on dit, une Afrique paisible, une Afrique...
A peaceful Africa, an Africa where we shall have a beautiful life, the Africa that we want. Thank you very much.
Spread hand has gone up from the back.
Ah,
This
okay.
will be our very last one.
Okay, it's okay. If we have time,
We have 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. My name is Moyo from TVC News, Nigeria. My question is about, you mentioned partners severally while answering some questions. I would want to think these partners are international or some other Western countries or maybe international organizations. Don't you think we need strategy for strategy for Africa? Because if we talk silencing guns in Africa and ending conflict, sometimes this conflict has interference and influence. And if we keep encouraging international partners, I don't actually know what partners you're talking about, but if it's what I'm thinking, don't you think interference also encourage a conflict and whatever gun problems we have in Africa?
Yes. That's the last one. Okay. I fully agree with you. Interference. I saw in some countries, you will have partners supporting, include Africa. In Africa, when I'm talking about partners, it's not only European countries and out of Africa, including Africa. And we can coming on silencing the gun. This is peace and security. They are, comment déportés. They have, this project of silencing the gun, and we are working together. And I fully agree with you. If we are not careful, partner will interfere in our internal matters. But it's not partner. We are part of the problem as Africa. Why a partner can come to me and say, okay, I will support you, I will give you money. When you are elected, I will give you mines. No. We can do the job in Africa. We are part of the problem also. If there is no, I used to say last year, if there is no corruption, we be without people corrupting and also taking money from, and we should work together and mobilize funds internally. Yesterday, I appealed to member states to finance ourselves the situation of refugees. We cannot say every day, give me, give me, give me. We can work together as Africa. We can do something. We can mobilize internally, including with private. We have, like Nigeria, we have many rich people. How they cannot help Africa to find a solution to our problem or to finance elections? That's the main problem also. And I saw last time DRC organized election with internal fund. They didn't take any copy from partners. Partners said, okay, you should. And finally, they said we can organize ourselves, our election. I think all countries can do so. We can also mobilize internally. That's why in the process of reform, we have this proposal to have 0.2% to finance our peace building or development, and we are working also to see, last year you see we have CFTA with free movement, and I think that can help also for peace, for security and the development of Africa. But we still need partners also. You cannot live alone and say, I don't need this person, I don't need, it cannot work like that. In my culture, we say that with one hand you cannot remove flour. You leave the five and all of them. We are not in the common vase clos, we are not, we need also this partner, they need us also, but together we can find the middle and say, yes, this is your role as partner, this is our role as Africa.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, for this really very interesting and informative press conference. And thank you, colleagues, for coming. We've been speaking to Her Excellency Commissioner Minata Samate Cessouma, the Commissioner for Political Affairs. Let me remind you before you start to pack your bags that we have another press conference coming up, and that will be with Her Excellency Ambassador Josepha Sako. She's the Commissioner of Rural Economy and Agriculture. She's just waiting outside to enter immediately after we finish this. Before
Merci
you leave,
beaucoup
if any of you are leaving, let me remind you that we do have guidelines for how you can best benefit from the summit. They are posted on our website. We have a media advisory note, and we have tips for media which will be useful for you. Merci. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.
To Nigeria, like Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe when? Yeah, it was.